Hello, nieces and nieces. How are you today? Welcome back to the channel. I want to thank you guys for coming back to the channel. I'm SavingsFashionista, and over here we do mainly things fragrance, whether it's body or home. And today we are here to talk fragrances, you guys. So if you're interested in hearing about my top 5 picks plus a bonus for winter, please. Okay, nieces, I have 6 fragrances here. I started off with 5. But then one of these fragrances, it's kind of trying to make like this unannounced appearance here in the fragrance world. And maybe she just never left, but you know, I just probably put her to rest. Well, not really put her to rest, but I just gave her some time off. So I have a total of 6 fragrances, as I said, that I think are really nice fragrances to wear during the winter months. And you can wear them in the summer, not summer, the fall months as well. And a couple of these, I have actually tried them in off or seasons. But I do think that these will be some of my favorites out of my collection that I wear during the colder months. Now, I could have pulled probably about 20 fragrances, but we want to keep it minimal. You know, that's a trend, you know, being minimal, you know, minimalistic life. So we're going to keep it minimal. So let's get started with the first fragrance. The first fragrance is a new fragrance to my collection, you guys. And this fragrance was released 2023. And when the fragrance was initially released, I wasn't really checking for it, although I do have quite a few fragrances from this particular fragrance house. But the buzz here in the fragrance community, it was buzzing. I got into the stores and it had me at first sniff. So I didn't purchase it in the boutique because I love my ladies at my boutique. I really, really do. But I said I'm going to go home and I'm going to see if I can find a sale because I think this was around, I think I got this like on a Veterans Day sale. So this was like in November. And luckily I did find a sale on Nordstrom's and I got the fragrance for a really good price. So the fragrance that we are speaking of is Althair from the house of Parfums de Marly. Now, this bottle is signature for men. However, you wear what you want, you know, how you want and when you want. But this fragrance, and I have sampled, I've actually even did a video on some of the men fragrances. I'll leave that card clicked above. But this right here is more of a balanced unisex fragrance. And I really, really like this fragrance. And I'm probably really liking it because it really has some gourmand notes in it. So let's talk about the fragrance notes. The fragrance has cinnamon, cardamom, orange blossom, and bergamot. The hard notes, it has vanilla bourbon and ilmi. And I want to say that's like a leathery resin smell. And the base notes, it has praline, musk, ambroxan, and gaiac wood. You guys, this is so divine. This is so good. I am totally enjoying this fragrance. I have done quite a few fragrance combinations with this fragrance. It wears really well with anything that has like a gingerbread note or some type of caramel note even goes well with it. This is good. I'm willing to bet that coffee would probably mix well with this. I just have not tried that combination, but this is really good, you guys. So this is Althair from the House of Parfums de Marly. And like I said, this is a balanced unisex fragrance. And if I had to lean the scale more femme or masculine, I would definitely say more femme, especially during the winter and fall months. But it'd be interesting to see what some of the gentlemen say in the community as to how this wear in the spring and summer months for a gentleman. But I am so enjoying this Althair. All right, so the next fragrance is something that's not a stranger to the fragrance community. You're probably looking and you probably already have this fragrance in your collection, you guys. But this is one of my fragrances that I will wear year round. And I do think that a lot of people tend to lean towards this one a little bit more during the cooler months because it is just so pungent with some of its fragrance notes. But they do have 2 other milder versions that if this is a little too strong for you on other, even during this season, because some people just cannot wear fragrances that are so rich. But the fragrance that I'm speaking of is Delina Exclusive. You guys, this is Date Night Bay. This is so good. And you know, during the panorama, you guys, I actually ordered the original Delina, and it's something about that I just do not like. And I also have the La Rose, so I tend to wear the La Rose during the warmer months, and I wear this during the cooler months. But I have worn it, you know, in 80-degree weather with no problem. But this fragrance, it has notes of lychee, pear, bergamot, Turkish rose, agar wood, which is an oud, incense, vanilla, amber, and woody notes. Now, this fragrance is a fragrance that she needs no accompanist. You can add one to her if you like to, but she can stand alone. This fragrance, it doesn't require any layering. It doesn't, all it requires is a good shower, soap and water. That's it. Get dressed, put her on, and she has a lasting power out of this world. But me, being the extra nista that I am, I have layered this. I have combined it with other fragrances, and this is a beautiful fragrance, you guys. This is definitely a rose fragrance that I want to keep in my collection. I own Rose Prick, and I owned that before I actually owned this. And because I didn't like the Delina so much, it prompted me to buy the Rose Prick. But I am so glad that I have the Exclusive, because she is definitely exclusive. So again, this is Delina Exclusive from Parfums de Marly. All right, now the next fragrance, you guys, this fragrance is a little masculine. And if you're one of those extra girly girls, you just may not like this. I'm kind of bipolar when it comes to fragrances, because I feel this way one day and the next day I'm feeling the total opposite of what I felt the day before. But this fragrance, it's just something in this fragrance that draws me to it. However, I have found myself mixing it with extra fruity body care or other fragrances that have you know, more of a girly like twist to it. But this fragrance is so good. I don't think I've ever worn this fragrance in isolation, but the fragrance notes, it is so befitting for cold months. And the fragrance that I am speaking of is Jazz Club from Replica. So Jazz Club, this is a tobacco fragrance. It is definitely tobacco. If you don't smell anything else in here, you're going to get that tobacco, and you're going to get that boozy note in it. It has fragrance notes of pink pepper, neroli, lemon, rum, vetiver, clary sage, tobacco leaf, vanilla bourbon, and styrex, whatever that word is. Forgive me for butchering the word. This is so good. And when I smell fragrances like this, my husband comes to mind. I don't know what it is. I think because it is so masculine, but I have mixed this fragrance with fragrance notes like coconut and a sweet tuberose or jasmine, and it just wears so well together. But this fragrance, it really does put me in the mind of just cold weather. When I smell this fragrance, not only do I think about my husband, but I think about beautiful scarves, nice sweaters, a good pea coat. It just gives me that vibe. You definitely pick the pink pepper up in this fragrance, and it's downright sexy. It is a sexy fragrance, whether female or male have it on. Anytime I have worn this fragrance, and like I said, I've always worn it as a mixture, I always get tons of compliments. And guess what? The compliments are always from females. But this is so good. So again, this is Jazz Club from Replica. All right, so the next fragrance is from my favorite house. And I remember when this fragrance was released. I think this fragrance came out in 21. And I went to the store and I sampled it, got some samples from my essay. And when I first smelled the fragrance, it really put me in the mind of Bryant Park, one of my favorites from Bond Number 9. But this is definitely different. After I got it and I wore it and I really embodied the fragrance, it's definitely different from Bryant Park. But the fragrance that I'm speaking of is Off-Broadway by Bond Number 9. Look at the packaging. Oh, so pretty. All right, so the fragrance notes in Off-Broadway are blackcurrant, grapefruit, nutmeg, lily, osmanthus, musk, vetiver, patchouli, and sandalwood. Now, I'm going to tell you what made me think about Bryant Park when I got this fragrance. It is the patchouli notes, which sometimes put you in the mind of pink pepper when it's mixed with other fragrance notes. So patchouli does come off as a more spicy note, and it does make me think about pink pepper. So that's why I was like, I didn't need it right now because it was too much like Bryant Park, but it is definitely different, you guys, because the musk note that is in here, it is so pretty. Oh, it is good. So this is a fragrance that I also really enjoy wearing on date night. I've tried to get my husband to play around with this and sample it because I watching I think it's the bow tie guy when he first reviewed it a couple years back. And you know, Bun Number 9, just about all of their fragrances are like 90% of their fragrances are unisex. But this fragrance right here is so good to me. I definitely can see where it could be unisex, but if I had to completely be honest, I think it leans a little bit more femme than it does masculine because of that airy, musky note that's in it. It's not a fruity fragrance, in my opinion, because for some reason, it's just something about black currant. Black currant doesn't give me the vibe of like raspberry or strawberry or even coconut. It's like it's in a different category when it comes to fruit. Like bergamot is kind of different, although it is a fruit, but it's like it's in its own little category. So that's what I get from this. And I know on my last date night, I wore these two together. And when I tell you, the compliments were countless. So this was a very great combination, but they work so well in isolation. And I really enjoy this fragrance during the colder months. So again, this is Off-Broadway by Bun Number 9. All right, so moving on down to fragrance number 5, but we have a bonus. Now, this fragrance right here, I have worn this fragrance like Delina in other seasons, and it wore well. Really like this fragrance. I'm so happy that I have it in my collection because I have tried so many fragrances from this brand, and I only have maybe about 6 of them because this brand is not easy to like. You know, it's most of their fragrances are very polarizing. You either like it or you don't. So the fragrance that I am speaking of is Tom Ford's Oud Wood. Now, I'm really excited about this fragrance because oud is one of those fragrance notes that can be rather intimidating, even for myself, extremely intimidating, especially when it comes to my sinuses because it is just so deep, so resin, so rich. But my SA shared this with me when I went in store to purchase the electric cherry. She gave me this and the cherry smoke, and she was saying that they should be mixed together, and she hit it spot on. When I tried the mix, I found myself purchasing this the following week. This wears so good with just about anything cherry. All the cherry fragrances that I have in my collection, I have paired this with it. But this is a very new user to oud friendly. It's very friendly for people that's trying to gradually get into oud. It's not over overbearing or offensive in any way. This is a really good oud fragrance. Really like it. So this fragrance has agar wood, Brazilian rose, cardamom, sandalwood, Sichuan pepper, vanilla, vetiver, tonka, and amber. Oh, this is so good. And like I said, I have worn this in spring. I don't know if I've ever worn in the summer, but I definitely know I have worn this in the spring. and the fall. And here I am in the winter. But this is a fragrance, like I said, it mixes so well. If you have a fragrance that you just really, really like, that's extra sweet, and you want to, you know, kind of like tone down the sugar, well, the sweetness, not the sugar, tone down the sweetness of that particular fragrance, I would definitely recommend pairing it with something like, you know, an oud fragrance. But this is so good. And the oud that you smell in here is nothing like the ouds that I have smelled in other fragrances. This is just a very unique oud. And it's a balanced unisex fragrance to me, in my opinion. All right, so those were my 5 picks for winter. But like I said, there is a bonus. And the bonus is something that I think this fragrance was added into my collection in 20. Was it 19? 19 or 20. I've had it a long time. And when I first got it, I was really, really, really into it. Really liked it. But I don't know if I wore it too much, or one day I may have put too much on, because it only takes a small amount of this fragrance for me. No matter what they say that it doesn't last, not this one. This is probably one of the long-lasting fragrances that I have from this house in the Cologne Intense collection. And the fragrance that I am speaking of is Merr Tonka from JoMalone. So I made a noticeable dent in it because, like I said, I was wearing it quite a bit, but I think I may have put too much of it on one day, and it kind of like gave me a headache. So I was talking to the SA for JoMalone in Saks one day, and he was just sharing with me how I can blend it with some of the other JoMalones that I already have to kind of like tone it down some. And Scarlet Poppy was one of the fragrances that I have combined it with in the past, and it was beautiful. Really enjoyed it. So this fragrance, it has fragrance notes of lavender, it has myrrh, tonka bean, vanilla, and almond. Now this girl was extremely popular. I want to say fall 20, was it 21 or 22? Not too long ago, but not like last year. It may have been 22 or 21. I don't recall. But I see that she's kind of like making a little small appearance, a little small comeback. I'm starting to see other content creators talk more about Merr Tonka than I noticed last year. But absolutely beautiful fragrance. Like I said, I've heard people complain about this fragrance not lasting. I don't have any issues with my JoMalone's lasting. That's just on my skin, and maybe it just works different for different people, but it's a beautiful fragrance. Really enjoy it. But the way that they have the lavender in here balanced, it does give you like a musky cashmere smell. I really, if I had to pinpoint a fragrance note without knowing what the fragrance notes were, I don't think I would have ever guessed lavender. I would have said like cashmere or some type of musk before I said lavender. So it's a beautiful fragrance. Really enjoy it. I am going to pull it out and start wearing it a little bit more, but I'm definitely going to be careful with the way that I apply it because it's a beautiful fragrance. Love it. But we don't want to get any headaches. So those are the fragrances that I wanted to share with you all today. Like I said, I could have pulled maybe 20 bottles of fragrance, but we're going to keep it minimalistic. Thank you guys for coming back to the channel. I greatly appreciate you. If you want to share, and if you would, please, because I would like to know, share some of your top winter fragrances and give me some sweet stuff. Because sometimes I get a little confused, you know, if it's too sweet, I'm like, this ain't winter sweet. It's just a bit much. So, and I get so caught up in gourmand. I don't know what it is about me that I crave these gourmands during this time of year. But share those fragrances in the comment section below. Give the video a thumbs up if you would, and come back and see me. And do not forget, you, yes, you are great. Bye-bye.